oola, 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 oola. We're gonna make a really cool video today. It's gonna be epic. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a brand new YouTube video. Now this is going to be a non-scripted video because I wanted to tell you a brief story that happened to me on a shoot on Saturday that I'm going to be doing a behind the scenes video of, but it's all about, it's a very sad time. Some of you already know this, but it's about my Nikon D5600, and it died is the short term of this story. So I wanted to tell this story a little bit, and this is going to be also a question that I wanted to pose to you guys. Would you like to hear some stories, some embarrassing stories, some interesting stories, all about some things I've had during the video production process? And yeah, I would love to hear what you think. So let me know in the comment section down below if that's what you'd be interested in. I've got a couple, like for example, when I first water damaged this camera, for example. So I was on Saturday let's make sure we get the date right. So on Saturday the 6th, I was involved in a small production to create a part of a cooking show that by now will hopefully have gone live, and apologies if it has not, but for those reasons only, I will be not using the names or anything, just so it could be a cooking show. So anyway, as part of a shoot, we were trying to cook a set of episodes for a new cooking show that I'm being collaborative media partner with. So that's exciting, but that's a story for another day, and that behind the scenes video, which will hopefully be going, I imagine, live as of next week at the time of, if you're seeing this video, hopefully, anyway, is the plan, but I need to confirm a couple of bits and bobs first of all before going into that. But I wanted to talk about how my camera died. Now firstly, let me show you the camera. So let me just grab a battery because the camera actually still powers on when you give it a battery. So let me show you what happens. I believe this battery should be full. What happens? So this is what you would expect this kind of camera to do. Now, the reason why this f-stop is flashing is because this lens is not extended. But as you see there, we have our Pacific, we have our shutter, our f value, and then our ISO. So that, but if we switch it into media mode, or media mode, we have a white screen. That is not necessarily normal because of the fact that we have a cap on the camera. So if I take this camera lens off, I'm very curious what's going to happen. As you can see, not much is the honest answer. It's telling me it can't record. It's telling me that it can't even trigger the shutter. That this is partly because a memory card is in it. But I'm very curious to see what will happen if we put, I'm going to use what I believe is the corrupt memory card in this camera, just because I'm just very curious now at the time of filming to see what happens, really. But then I will tell you either way. So we have a green light that's just holding, and as you can see here, this card cannot be viewed. Now that was because when this card was last in this camera decided that the shutter wanted to break. So I'm not going to go, I wanted to actually kind of show you the wonderful colors that this camera actually had when I went into live view. So I'm going to see if I can re-trigger it to actually allow me to do that. So, but that's why I wanted to show you. But I'm just getting a white screen. Now, just to give you some context, what should happen if I grab another camera that works like this one, this one should have a battery in it, doesn't have a memory card in it, but if I switch here, as you can see, we have the same screen again, and then if I swap into live view, you should be able to see my face briefly. Obviously there's no memory card in it, but you should be able to see briefly my face. So that definitely shows that something's wrong. So this is what I would describe as what happens when your shutter just ceases to exist. Now, those who don't know, on a non-mirrorless camera, so any DSLR camera, there is a certain number of shutters or frames that a camera can take on average. Now, I looked up the D5600. It's around 150,000 or so, and I also then looked up to see what my shutter count actually got to before this camera died, and it was basically about 90,000 or so more than the 150,000 average. Now, of course, that's an average, but yeah, it was just an interesting story, an interesting situation, and I wanted to mainly just talk about in this video how I actually went about troubleshooting that problem, and also then just to tell you some stories. So now I've done all the pre-ramble about what the problem was, let me actually tell the story. So I was just going about my day as you would do normally on the way to a shoot, filming a behind the scenes video on this camera, ready to go. We had set everything up and it was ready to go, ready to shoot. I had the 70 to 300mm lens attached to the Nikon 5600, and I was just filming away, everything was going well, and then suddenly we had a situation where the other camera, or the 5600, decided it just wanted to just make a noise as if I pulled the shutter down. So I flicked out of live view, and then the screen went white. So I went, right, that's not the best, that's not great. And so then I was like, right, okay, I'm gonna keep calm. It's not a problem. Turned off the camera, turned it back on again, tried to go back into live view. Live view didn't want to work. Couldn't go into live view in the current state of this thing. So then what I did, I was like, okay, maybe it's the memory card we got faulty. All right, so turned off the camera again, took out the memory card, put in a new memory card, closed up the camera, tried to go again. Same thing happened. So I was like, right, okay, so it isn't the memory card, right? So then I tried to take a photo, and we just got some weird looking images. It was like weird like sensor colors and such. If I can find any online, I will chuck some on here so you can see what I mean. But it was just like this weird sensor colors. It was like the colors of a sensor, I imagine, if you took a picture of just off a raw sensor. And basically the moral of the story is, at some point your gear is going to break, and at some point it will be at the time when you need it the most. But I think a lot of what happens and a lot of what you should get to the point where you're okay with is being in a position where that can happen, but you're still okay and still able to work out a solution and be honest with your then client or etc., and explain the situation and find a problem solving situation, or find a solution to that problem as it happens, because it's not necessarily in your control. And this is a interesting story, but it also means I have a new relic of a camera to go into the other one, which is behind me, which is my D5100. So that adds another to the arsenal of unfortunately dead cameras in the history of me using cameras and me using camera equipment. But yeah, so that was a interesting weekend, interesting day, but you know, I think it was good. I think it was, you know, it served me well. And the Civic, it's so stiff, this lens is so stiff, but yeah, so it served me well. It served me you know, for the years that it served me very, very well. I've water damaged it I think 3 or 4 times, so the fact that it was really specifically, you know, able to be revived and able to come back to life and still function as my main video camera for a year and a half just proves that it's built like a tank. And also, you know, the fact that it's not weather sealed either. So, you know, some of you I'm sure are going to be thinking or questioning, oh, shouldn't it, you know, not die to water damage, or should be able to withstand some of those issues, or some of those, you know, being out in the rain in that respect. Firstly, it can go out in the rain without it too much of an issue. Torrential rain, not so much. And I'm happy to do the more lengthy story about how I first water damaged that camera and the processes I actually went through when it came to actually being able to revive that camera, and some of those experiences as well in the next part of this series, this little mini kind of series. I want to do some like story type videos or fail videos or things or problems, and I hope you guys can take something from that. So that was the weekend. I mean, the shoot itself, from what I can see anyway, went fine, went well, was enjoyed by all, and and those of you who are concerned on a COVID level, I was fully masked the entire time, and we did everything we could to keep hygiene up to a standard in that respect, to make sure that all the procedures that should be in place were in place, you know, social distancing wise and such as well when on set. But yeah, I think it was a productive use of time and an interesting project to be a part of. But it gave me a kind of an interesting perspective on the fact that you can sometimes push gear, or sometimes you have gear, or sometimes, you know, you have problems that you don't necessarily understand there and then are caused by just wear and tear on the camera. But it's also then I was surprised with how well I actually handled it and handled the process of that breaking. Unfortunately, I didn't have a camera on me at the time. It would have been great to have just a sole behind the scenes camera, but unfortunately I was using this camera and some other all of my cameras really at the time to really film that cooking show that I was there to obviously help with production side of it of. But yeah, so if you guys enjoyed this little story and this little story time, apologies, a bit all over the place, but I thought it would be interesting to sit down and have a chat about that kind of story and some of the other story things. And I would love to hear what you think in the comments down below, if there is a you know, an upswing or at least there's somewhat of a demand for this kind of content. I'll be sure to do some others, and also I have ordered a brand new camera as well. I'm not going to reveal as of this video what that camera is, but I will be doing videos on that camera when it comes. I'll be fully testing it for the purposes I need it to do, and talking and just making content around that camera as well, and some of the reasons about why I went with that camera over others, and etc. in that respect as well. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave it with a like. This is a little bit of basic video. I'm just kind of experimenting on the Wednesday videos at the moment for the next couple of weeks. Just got some experimental videos while I work on a big tutorial that I want to put together for hyperlapse photography, because the first shoot that I did for that I tried to do on the fly, and it wasn't really 100% happy with how that really came across. So that's what's coming. There's a couple of videos coming. We've obviously got the weekly podcast that's coming out as well. There's a couple of episodes by the time this comes out are really exciting, really interesting. I think there's a lot of value there as well. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave it with a like. If you're new to the channel, make sure to be subscribed. I'd love to have you join that the channel, and I'd love to hear what you think in the comment section down below. If you want to hear more story videos, I'll be transparent with you guys. I'm probably going to film the second half, or the second main story I have with my Nikon D5600 as well, about the time when I really nearly destroyed it with water damage. I'm probably going to film that after this one, but by no means, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below if you would like to see more of these videos. And also I've got some possible new rig updates and bits and bobs and things I want to try, and then obviously some more passion related projects as well, and also some behind the scenes stuff coming as well. So lots and lots of content to come, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to go, because otherwise I'm going to talk forever. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week with a brand new video about 6 p.m. on Wednesday. I'll see you soon.